Hi, Eleonora.
Hi, Molly.
Before we get into today's conversation, I want to know, what do you have in your teacup?
Ooh, is it allowed to say that it's dirty Tai Chi? I don't know
Oh,
why they call it dirty, but it is dirty Tai Chi.
sultry.
Yeah.
I have rooibos vanilla, which is my favorite because it's like a warm hug in a mug. Have you
Wow, I
had
have
it?
to try that one. No, never.
I'll send you a picture of the box afterwards. It's really nice. And anyone watching, we actually have matching
Yes,
teacups.
please.
This was not on purpose. This was a fun
Yes, we
little
do.
coincidence when we jumped on today. And if you would
Yes.
love to go grab yourself a cup of tea, a coffee, a nice drink, and get cozy, settle in, we are just here for a really lovely lounge chat today. So I'm Molly, this is Eleonora,
And
and
I'm Eleonora.
and we are going to talk today about self-trust, which is a topic that we both love and adore and have talked about a lot recently. And so I thought this would be a really fun way to start these conversations as well. So, Eleonora, do you remember the last time that you doubted yourself?
I think it's happening almost every day. So even this morning, actually. Thank you for
Mm.
asking me because sometimes we are not aware that we are doubting ourselves. It's become so natural to do that. So,
Yeah,
yeah, it happened this morning. What
absolutely.
about
And
you?
would you like to give us a little bit of a um, insight into that experience that you had this morning with self-doubt and how it was coming up for you?
Yes, I will actually. It was me creating something for my business. And, self-doubt can come in a very quiet way in your thoughts. Uh, but it can finish being very loud, that much that you believed in that. So while I was creating that, the thoughts that, are you really going to do this? Wow. Do you think you are good enough? Do you think you know enough? What will you do if they start laughing? What will you do if no one show up? So it was keep going for, I think, maybe 5 minutes until I become aware of what I'm doing, that my brain just naturally go back to the old patterns of self-doubting. The moment of awareness is actually that beautiful moment that we need every time when something like that happened. So that was very powerful for me
Mm. I love that.
and
And I
something
love that
that's very often happening.
you found the value in it as well. And I think that can be such a key part of us building our self-trust is learning or building up any skills really. Like, where is the value when you have to actually practice this?
Yes.
And I haven't necessarily got perfect at it yet. Where is the value in that? And I love that you gave us some insight into that experience because I had a very similar experience this week actually. And I was only thinking this morning that we probably should have expected this because as coaches, we're very aware that whenever you want to go into a topic or, build a workshop or whatever it is that you're doing, life is going to put you through those experiences to give you that information, that insight to remind you of what that's like. And so I feel like we should have expected that this was probably going to happen to both of us. But I had the same
Oh, yes.
experience.
Yeah.
Hmm, yeah. So we'll know for next
And
time.
I don't want to put a negative, yes. What I don't want to do is to put a negative connotation into doubting because it's not negative. It's not always negative. Uh, it's actually neutral. It's just the way how we react actually on that uh, moments when we are not sure and when that kicking in, which bring us, of course, to our subject, self-trust.
Yeah,
So, can
absolutely.
I ask you, how do you see self-trust? What do you think? What do you think about self-trust?
I love the idea of self-trust, and it's something that I've grown to love through my own journey. Um, what does self-trust mean to me? I think it's really consciously choosing yourself. Sometimes it's choosing to trust yourself and it's choosing to, I was going to say back yourself. And I mean, that can be true in some situations, but it's really choosing to trust in the fact that you know how to show up for yourself, trusting in the fact that you can make decisions and also not just making the decisions, but trusting in the fact that regardless of how it turns out, you can handle that too. And I think that's what self trust is mostly for me. It's trusting that I trust myself to make this decision and I trust myself that no matter what happens on the other end of this decision, I can hold myself through that. I will be okay. I can handle it. I can enjoy it or I can seek support, like whatever it looks like on the other side of that decision. I trust that I am able to show up to that as well and to deal with it without being completely bowled over by life, which I think is what happens when we don't have a lot of self trust. And it can still happen when we have self trust as well, but we have a different way of showing up to it, I think, when we do have that self trust with us.
Definitely, it's a choice. Um, Instead of arguing with yourself all the time and debating and doubting, in that moment, choose to trust yourself, trust your instinct, or trust your intuition, and just follow what is aligned with something that is usually sits somewhere here in our chest, close to the heart. Um, for me, self-trust is something that is, it's not like some big traumatic thing. Oh, yeah, I'm self-trusting. Uh, it's showing actually in these small moments, um, in a small moments when you become aware that you start um, actually that argument with yourself. Am I good enough? Am I ready for something? And then uh, instead of letting out your brain to uh, prepare the full presentation why you're not supposed to do something, you actually choose to just breathe to that emotion and do that anyway. We don't have to know the outcome.
Mm. And I love that
Yeah.
idea of we don't have to know the outcome because, like you said, it is when self doubt comes in, we have this choice that we can make. And I think we have to really practice that sometimes to understand that there is a choice there because the self doubt can feel so loud and the self trust can feel like
Mm-hmm.
this small, for some people, they may not even be hearing that voice to start with. But what I love about just really leaning into it without knowing the outcome is it's like going into a new relationship. There's, you meet somebody and there are these moments where if you want that person to really get to know you, you have to give something of yourself over. And you're sort of blindly trusting that that person will hold that and that they will meet you there and that they will accept that. And anyone who's been in a new relationship, even a new friendship, would have been through this experience. They may not have realized it, they may not have done that consciously, but building self trust with ourselves is the same thing. And so if we don't have it to start with, it's really leaning in and going, even though I don't know what's on the other side, even though I don't know how this is going to work out, even though I may not know how I react, depending on what happens with this, maybe I'm really experimenting with learning myself through
Yeah.
this. I'm going to put a little bit of trust into myself and I'm going to just sit back. And for me, it's really consciously taking a breath and going, I've got this. I trust myself to show up. I trust myself to, I did a podcast the other day and I had a lot of self doubt coming up throughout it. And like, not just before the podcast, but through the podcast, as I was talking and as the other person was responding, I was sitting there and just taking a breath and going, just, don't overthink it and trust yourself to show up. Trust yourself to just sit here and have a conversation. And what is the worst that could happen? Sure, you may not like it, you may not like the way it comes out, but you still showed up and you gave it a go. And at the end of the day, that's the best that you can do. And it's the same with our self-trust. It's just showing up to that. And like we said before, make that really conscious decision of even if it's really unknown, do I want to choose to trust myself here? And I think this could really bring us into having a look at where does self-trust come up? Because I've talked about it, when we've got self-doubt coming up and choosing to trust ourselves as
Yes.
opposed to listen to that doubt. But I'm thinking that I know that for a lot of people, they don't know what self-trust is and they may not have experienced it. And so I'm wondering if maybe we even just brainstorm like when are some situations where self-trust may come up and that
Yeah.
we've experienced as
Actually,
well.
what, yeah, what you just shared about relationships, uh, I think many can relate with the moments when we ignore those inner feelings and then later realize that, well, that feeling was right. And my experience, um, and the, well, I can say one of the biggest moment actually came while I was in a relationship. So there was a situation where something inside me felt uncomfortable, um, like a quiet signal, that that quiet voice saying, "This is not right for you," um, but I ignore it. So I can't say consciously ignore it, but I ignore it because I wanted things to work. Um, uh, I thought maybe that's just me overreacting. Maybe the problem is in me. Um, so the problem is not that we do not have intuition, that we don't have that inner voice. The problem is that we do not trust it yet. And now,
Mm,
looking back, I realized that my intuition was actually very clear, but I did not trust it enough in that at that time. So that experience taught me something important, that our inner voice is often very quiet and uh, but it's rarely wrong.
mm,
So big lesson about and big realization that I actually trust myself, but I'm not even aware when and how. And talking about this experience, I think many of us face the same situation where you will be a part of argument maybe, and later on you're thinking, why did I said that, or why I didn't, what, how can I think clearly now and have the right answer and the right question in my head, but I didn't have while we were in a situation. So that's the moments where we do not trust ourselves, but our we follow the emotion, but emotion is coming from belief and the thoughts that we have in that moment. So if you ask me a year ago, actually, you are the one who asked me. And I will never forget that moment because it was like someone opened my eyes finally. You did ask me, do you trust yourself? And that question is so simple but so powerful. So, yeah, sit down in a quiet place and ask yourself, do I really trust this?
Mm.
Thank you, Molly.
Thank you for sharing that. And I think it's a question that I'm really glad I learned to ask not only myself, but also, like you said, bring other people into that awareness because until we can honestly sit down and ask ourselves, do we trust ourselves, and answer that with complete honesty and without judgment as well, then
Yes.
we can't start to move into, well, how do I want to build my self trust? And how do I want that to look like? And I think the two really incredible ingredients that are even needed for this, though they were for me on my journey anyway, was having a little bit of patience and a little bit of self-compassion every single time because there were so many moments where I did trust myself. And like you said, like you're in relationships, and sometimes when you're not in tune with your intuition, you are, I guess, less comfortable with making those decisions from that place. And so sometimes you may make some decisions that at the time look like failures or look like mistakes. And for me, that definitely happened where I made decisions and I went, yeah, I really trust myself. I'm really leaning into this. And then kind of went, oh, crap. That wasn't at all what that was supposed to turn out like. I would have never put myself in this position if I'd realized earlier.
Yes,
And with a little bit of hindsight, sometimes we can go, actually, I learned so much from that experience. Or if I hadn't have had that happen, I wouldn't be in this place now and things like that as well. But it's really, we need to have a little bit of patience with ourselves to learn how to listen to that intuition. And you brought up a really beautiful point of knowing what it feels like in your body and knowing how it feels in your
yes.
body to listen to your intuition. And for me, it was being able to take a deep belly breath, not just into the chest, but straight down
Uh-huh.
into the stomach. And you would know this is something that I love because I do it with people all the
Yes.
time.
You
But
do
so
that
many people
right
don't
now?
breathe into their stomach. Yeah. Like everyone just wants
Yes,
to take a
yeah,
moment
that's
now
true.
and see where your breath is, and then draw it a little bit deeper into your stomach and put your hands on your tummy and feel it expand and just feel how grounded you get from that place. And then self trust is listening to what is my body telling me when there is something coming up that I need to make a decision about or that I want to lean into my self trust around. I want to listen to my intuition. Do I think I'm making the right decision, but my shoulders are really, really tense and I am bracing? Do I think I'm making the right decision, but I'm ignoring the fact that I feel a little bit sick in my stomach? When I think about this thing, does it make my chest feel really light and open? Am I excited or is there fear there? And it's really surprising to me sometimes how many people have never dropped into their bodies before. And as someone who is a Tai Chi teacher and a Yin yoga teacher and has spent a lot of practice learning how to get back into my body, like I've been there in the trenches so many times. And it takes
True.
time, but just it's those little things of like, can you feel your feet on the ground? And they sound really generic, but sometimes anchoring into those physical sensations can actually help us anchor into our intuition. It can help us anchor into our self trust. And that's what I found for me when my self trust was
Yes.
so shattered. And it wasn't just my self trust, but it was all of my trust. And my self worth was so shattered that it was really, I guess, a bit of back and forth between I don't know how to trust myself. And I'm so nervous about doing that. Can I start to get into my body so that I can maybe get some extra information to work out what decisions to make whilst I learn what self trust feels like for me? And so that was really my experience with it when I was learning to trust myself again was what does my body feel like at the same time? And it was a huge back and forth. Sometimes my body was like, oh, I'm telling you all these things, and my intuition was telling me something else. And it really was just taking a lot of nurture and a lot of patience and just being compassionate with myself at the end of the day as well.
And I love what you shared because I think we do not have enough passion for ourselves. We live in this modern, very hectic world where everything is so fast, it's happening so fast. I got a message, I have to answer straight away because if I'm waiting a couple of hours, what will they think about me? Or, or not a couple of hours. Usually a person will react after 15 minutes with a sign like, come on, I'm waiting. Why didn't you answer? So um, I love that part of sitting in your body because that gives you that pause moment that we all need, especially in this uh, busy world. Um, that's the only way to calm down the noise around us, but to calm down the noise in our head, to sit there and as you said, oh, breathing, belly breathing. I didn't even know what it is. My breathing was very shallow most of the time. And when I started acknowledging my breathing, I realized, oh, I actually did not breathe in a moment, of course, otherwise I won't be here. Um, but yes, those moments happen. And look at that. Look how simple it is. We are reaching for the pills, for, I don't know, help outside, but the help is here inside. And it's very simple. Just see yourself as a whole and start from that moment that we are one with our body and with our mind. And um, same as you, I come up with a little like exercises or maybe like a little framework how to go back into that self-trust. And if you don't mind, I'd like to share.
Of
I
course,
really
please
would like
do.
to know what you think about that.
Yes, go for it. I'm
Okay,
here. I'm in.
so okay, beautiful. I know. Um, that's why I love talking with you. So because you can't get rid of programs overnight and they will never come back. And that's okay. They can come back because we need to see the difference, right? We need to see that progress. So I'm thinking, okay, but I want to acknowledge that. How will I do that? I need a structure. I need a little system to remind myself. And of course, when you are in a heat of the moment, you can't remember of any framework and whatever, but you can practicing at home. Um, so what I did, I actually write down. So if you don't mind, I will read. So um, Because self-trust, you build self-trust. Actually, I build self-trust with small promises to myself. But this time I'm going to keep that. So it doesn't have to be anything big, dramatic, goal, whatever, but small promise. And then I keep it. So first step, pick one small thing and keep it. Why? Because brain need evidence. They need proof. Brain do not need only motivation that will come from Molly or Eleonora, but evidence. Oh, this is how I'm gonna feel. Uh, Second step was to acknowledge my emotion in a moment when I doubting myself and to separate that discomfort, as you said before, you feel that discomfort, but you want to do that anyway. Well, sit with that discomfort because it's not coming from danger situation. It's not your brain reacting because the tiger is behind your back. No, it's just coming from a little discomfort in your body. Accept it because it means that you are growing. You are not broken. You are just growing. So that discomfort or danger means, okay, stop now. Accept me. Again, brain, but usually body confuse those two. So that discomfort can be actually nice, can be excitement. Uh, then third step would be reduce what I said before, arguing with yourself. Reduce that debating with yourself doubt. Do not go into excuses why you're not supposed to do something. Just make it smaller. Uh, well, look, if I need 2 days and six different opinions for these small decisions, then what is the point? I'm not deciding, I'm just negotiating with myself. So reduce that. Don't ask for confirmation around you, just trust. Even if it doesn't look trustable, trust. And I find out that tracking, that will be the fourth step, tracking can actually give you another proof. So I'm not doing that every day, to be honest. But very often I will write down three things where I ignored myself. I ignored my inner voice and what happened. And then I will write two, three things where I did and what happened. Because I personally needed that comparison. Comparison,
Mhm.
is that right?
It is, yeah.
As a proof. So yeah, this was a long explanation, but it's basically what you said. Breathe in your belly, separate that discomfort from danger. Stop debating with yourself and arguing. Stop that train of thoughts and trust yourself. And if you're not lazy, write it down. So there you go. Me being smart.
Amazing. And oh, you said so many things in there that I want to comment on, and it's hard to pick the first one, right?
Oh my God.
Um, there's so many like nuggets of gold, but it sounds like from your experience you had this as well, where when you're heightened, it is so hard to lean into that self-trust because, when you're heightened and you're in an argument, you go into that survival mode, or you go into you're so used to having
Mhm.
to defend, which defending is survival mode. Um, but
Yeah.
when we practice self-trust outside of that, and we practice it in a safe way. So, like you said, these little tiny actions
Mhm.
where you do one thing and then you show up to yourself. And it could be as simple as I'm going to turn my phone off, half an hour earlier tonight because I want to start going to sleep earlier. And I'm going to cook myself a nice dinner tonight. I'm going to take myself for 10 minutes outside to decompress for work. Like it doesn't have to be massive, but it's just creating those little tiny moments where you're promising yourself you're going to do something and then you're following through and you're proving to yourself that you will follow through on things. And that's what self-trust
Yes,
is trusting yourself to follow through and to hold
yes.
yourself regardless of what happens. And when we learn to do these things, I think sometimes we make it bigger than it needs to be because we go, oh, I have to do it when I'm in a heightened moment. Oh, I
Mm.
have to do it in the worst possible situation. But that's like the advanced level. And we kind of forget that. And this is where the compassion
Yes.
comes in and the patience to go, I'm just going to do these little tiny bits. How can I do this in a safe way, in a way that's really sustainable for my growth, and in a way that is, not pushing my comfort zone so far that I'm never going to follow through on it?
Mhm.
Because you're sort of setting yourself up for disaster if you do that. Um, and I think that's a really key thing with self-trust as well, is that it can be micro moments. As you build those up, then when you're in those
Mhm.
heightened states, you've already got all this practice that you will lean back on. And you'll start to lean back into that and you'll start to get to that advanced level of when I'm in a heightened state, I will actually stop and I will come back and I'll trust myself to communicate the way I actually want to take a moment to listen to my feelings and actually move from there as opposed to reactivity, like whatever that looks like. And as we talked about before, it is that stopping moment of, whether it's you've got the self-doubt going on or you're trying to make a decision. And it's that pause moment, like you mentioned, where we drop into our bodies and we just take a moment to listen to our intuition, to listen to what our bodies are telling us. And creating that pause moment and practicing that is also the thing that then comes in handy in those heightened situations. Because as opposed to just like you said, we run from one thing to another all the time. It's the society that we live in. It's the way that we've been taught to move through the world, especially with things like technology now.
Yes.
Whereas if we can create that pause moment in these little moments of building self-trust, it'll ripple and you'll start to pause between what you're doing. And if you're starting to get heightened, you're sitting in traffic and you're rushing to get home and you're getting what is it called, road rage or something. All these little spaces where you're just sort of like wasting energy. You get home and you're angry, and then you have a fight with your partner or whatever that looks like, and it snowballs all the
Yeah,
time. You start to create these pause moments and go, oh, just gonna have a breath. And do I actually want to be angry about this? Is it worth my time and my energy? Is it actually that important to me? Um, and we can do that with
that's
everything. We
right.
can appreciate those moments where we're laughing a lot as well, because we can sort of have that pause moment, go, oh, this is really good. I'm just going to be present here. And so it has this beautiful ripple effect that happens as well. And yeah, we can work on building self-trust, but it will just ripple out into the rest of our lives and it will slow us down a little bit. And I think we all need that now. We all need to slow down a little bit more. We need to remember that, like you said earlier, we do have a lot
Definitely.
of what we need right here within us. Um, and it's my dream is that everyone gets to come back to themselves just a little bit more. Everyone gets to create just a little bit more harmony and be a little bit more in tune with themselves so that they can be present in their lives and present in their bodies for their lives as well. And the effect that that has on people, I mean, the effect that's had on you and me, right? We've been here for the journey and we've seen the way it's changed
Yeah,
each other.
definitely.
It's incredible. And so we can
Yes.
attest to this personally, but also like seeing it in each other
Yeah.
as well. And I think that's really beautiful. Did you have
Yeah.
a particular comment or question that you want to wrap this conversation up on?
Um, I did not come up with this question. It's actually something that you will recognize,
Mm-hmm.
but um, I had to formulate it so it can feed into self-trust. And I actually ask myself, the question is if you If you completely trusted yourself today, what would you do differently in your life? And yeah, you maybe need a pause.
Hmm. I mean, you and I have built up a lot of self-trust, right? So I feel this question gets a little bit harder once you get really used to
Yes.
leaning into that. But at the moment, where I'm really consciously having to lean into my self-trust is with starting my own movement classes. So going in and starting Tai Chi and Yin classes and teaching them. And so if I just trusted myself completely and I didn't have that little niggling voice of self-doubt coming up, that would be a lot easier. It wouldn't be quite as challenging as what it is. What about you?
Um, Me as me, I have to connect that answer to a very funny situation that I had oh, just a couple of days ago. So I was talking about coaching and my plans and um, the way how I work with women and what exactly that it's work with women who are going through huge transitions like you and me. um, or maybe divorce, or maybe they changed the work. So anyway, and I said, "Oh my God, it's uh, it's not easy to be one wo- one woman business, not one man, one woman business, right? Because you have to do everything, and then this person says." You're gonna get there, and I answer straight away, "Oh, I know." But then I had this beautiful feeling in my body. Wow, this is so powerful because finally I can see difference between being confident and actually trust yourself. So I wish everyone experience only once the feeling when you fully trust yourself. Even I have no idea what's going to happen, how successful I'm going to be, but it doesn't matter. The feeling that I trust myself is so powerful that whatever would happen in the future can't replace that powerfulness that I felt. Is that the word?
Yes,
Powerfulness? Doesn't
I believe
matter,
so.
doesn't matter. I can be Shakespeare again. Anyway, yeah, I think we can talk until tomorrow, but I guess we have to finish our conversation. Can we do this again tomorrow?
Of course.
Okay.
And this is a really good actually segue into, we're just going to throw our introduction in the end of here. So if you've listened this long and you're like, where did these two people come from and why are they here chatting to us? We are just two coaches who have been having these conversations in the background for months and months and months, probably close to a year. And we just thought maybe other people would be interested in our thoughts. We think they're quite interesting. We think the conversations go in these really interesting directions, the way that we bounce off each other and we do go through different concepts and we really think through things. So that's why we created Between Us. And we're just calling it a little mini series at the moment. So we will see where it goes. It may grow into something really big and beautiful. It may stay small. But we just really wanted to show up and start putting these conversations out into the world for other people to join in with us as well.
Exactly. And we are open for the any subject that the people would like to hear. Surprise
Yes.
us. We can
Yeah. If you
talk
want us to
about
talk about
anything,
something,
right?
just write it in the comments. Like we will check. And
Yes, go ahead.
as long as it's appropriate and we're happy to share, we love getting into these things and we love sort of getting our brains working a little bit as well. Yeah. Beautiful.
Yes. Can I share one message that maybe can stay as a reminder about self-trust?
Please do.
Of course I can. Um, so we're talking about self-trust, about growth and everything. So self-trust grows when you stop abandoning yourself after you choose.
Mm,
And that's lead us to practicing being compassionate with ourselves.
beautiful. What an amazing way to
Thank
end.
you.
Thank you. I love chatting with you. I loved our matching tea mugs. And
Same here.
we will see which topic we pick next.
Exactly. I'm happy because this won't stay only between us, you and me.
Yeah. It's nice to finally bring other people into this conversation because, like I said, we love it, but we've constantly been like, we wonder what other people think. We wonder how this lands with other people. Do other people go this deep with topics as we do every single time we meet up and chat for two
Exactly.
or 3 hours at a time? So it'll be interesting just to see, is there a new perspective that you picked up? Is there something you want to add? Is there a different topic that you want to hear in a conversation, but you don't have anyone to talk to about it? Let us be those people for you and just come make a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, and let's just sit down and get cozy while we explore our thoughts.
And join us.